and Black in the building. Did Jesus come back? Oh, we gonna try next week. Shout out to everybody out there at the Core Plantation, singing in the choir, at church today, Sunday school. You know, I ain't mad at you, but we gonna get it done. This is your boy Warren G, the place beat been Clown Sucker Free since 2003. Roll call. Shout out to everybody in Vegas. Still a little hot out there and expensive. Shout out to all my siblings, everybody out there in Vegas. Shout out to the homegirl Shawnee, Philly in the building, the homegirl Erica, Florida, aka Florida in the building. Shout out to my brother James Youngblood, Texas in the building, my brother David from No Compromise, Georgia in the building. Shout out to the homegirl Melina, all the way from North Carolina, aka North Kakalaka, is definitely in the building. Man. Hey, shout out to my brother James Youngblood too. And David. They be sending James, that thing that you sent me, I think it was Ann Coulter, how she was talking about immigrants. That shit was cold. This was another panel. And we're gonna discuss that too and talk about the confusion is real. So let's get into it. Man, James Youngblood, man. Look, he sent me this thing, and I don't be on there. I'm going to start being on there a lot more. I just don't be on there right now because I just got a lot of shit going on. But once I get, things finished, I'm finally getting a schedule where I can get these two brothers on a live. So I'm very happy about that. Scheduling was crazy. Sometimes I'd be at work real early, then late, and it's just... And, then those brothers got other shit to do. They ain't got time to just be on no live with me bullshitting, so. But James Youngblood sent me something to David. I know he sent it to David, too. It was about, I think it's Ann Coulter. And she was on this panel. And she was talking about how, she's like, I think civil rights is a Black American thing. It's not an LGBTQ thing. And it's not an immigrant thing. And it was an immigrant on the panel like, oh, well, that's not fair. She was like, I'm sorry, I have to disagree. We didn't enslave immigrants. And we didn't enslave other racial groups. We enslaved Black Americans. So I don't understand why this gets to be, something that the LGBTQ community could tether onto and get benefits from, but Black Americans are not getting benefits from that. And I noticed how the immigrant was like, well, I don't think it's right. Well, it doesn't matter if you don't think it's right. You didn't build the country for free without repayment. That's the issue right there. That's why so much confusion, and that's why your girl Kamala, look, this is what had me rolling. Now, y'all seen this debate and all this other shit, and what I have noticed is, after that debate and all that, even the last podcast I talked about, you notice, like I said before, they wanted another debate because Kamala looked very contrived and she looked like somebody was feeding her the answers and she didn't have no policies about anything because they've been hiding her the whole time. Musical chairs type shit. Like you can't pin her down, and then when you get her in a room, it's all this other shit. Then I saw this thing with Angela Rye, who had these Republicans on there, and it was a Republican white lady. She was going in on Angela Rye like, no, I knew you was going to do that. No, you was going to say that. These people just don't get it. First of all, I ain't never really liked Angela Rye. Angela Rye remind me of those highfalutin, talented 10th, I went to ACB, HSBCU, historically Black colleges type of bullshit, who's owned by dominant society, motherfuckers, and think that you're better than everybody because you got the dominant society's education that don't really mean shit in the United States of America Incorporated. Warren, what do you mean don't mean shit? I told this girl, I remember, I can only use I'm gonna put this in the book too. It was a sister, very, very beautiful sister. And I wasn't trying to holler at her like that. Not like that, man. You know, when you get under Core Plantation, sometimes you want to just build a family type situation. That's always how I've been. And I told her, I said, because at the time, at the Core Plantation we was working at, they were having like outside functions. And it would be a lot of movers and shakers, a lot of VPs, directors, and stuff like that. And this sister didn't really like where she was working. So I was like, hey, you should come to this function that they have, and so you can meet other, directors, managers, VPs, and stuff like that that's up there. You know what I'm saying? So you can kind of get your name out there. So if you want to transfer, transfer. And I was taught this a long time ago by black folk at this core plantation, as well as the dominant society. Like, it's about relationships. You know what I mean? It's about relationships. So I'm gonna tell the story. This is the fact. So I said, hey, hey, you should come check this out. I was like, hey, man, you really gonna like it. She didn't say nothing. I said, hey, you should really come check this out. I said, hey, man, I can give you my department number. You can hit me up and let me know if you have any questions or whatever, because you probably ain't gonna know nobody there, but I'm gonna know hella people there. And I said, if not, just hit me up on my phone. I was not trying to holler at the sister, because anybody that knows me, that has worked with me, you'll know if Warren trying to holler at you. But anyway, this sister had the nerve to tell me, well, what do you want to do with yourself? And what do you see yourself? Let's go hard on the nigga type shit, right? And because you don't want to just do this forever, and you need to go to school and get your education. You know what I told her? Because I remember it was a Latino brother with me. And he was like, damn, Warren, you checked the shit out of her. I said, let me tell you something. I said, if you're here in 10 years, if you're still here, I put a paycheck on it, or we can put $1,000 at it, you'll be reporting to a white person with no degree. This is the company that you're in. So I don't know what the fuck somebody told you about this little college education shit scheme. I said, you're in Las Vegas, Nevada. Niggas make $80,000 parking cars out here for a living. Niggas make $80,000 being a bartender. That degree shit for black folk don't mean nothing. That's nothing but a bunch of red tape. I said, if you really want to apply that degree, and this was years ago, I said you might want to move to like Cali, or you might want to move to one of these states that honors education. You know what I'm saying? And David, James, we got to talk about this too. So she was like, what you mean? I was like, I'm telling you what I know. I was like, I am not here to move up within this corporate structure. I'm not here to be somebody's supervisor, or, it isn't going to work. I've heard and seen too many horror stories about us getting an education and trying to move up, and it just doesn't work. She was like, oh, well, you should still. I said, okay, we'll see. 10 years later, she was reporting to a motherfucker with no degree. Just like I fucking said. You know what I mean? So I think it's, we have to restructure what's going on, because the confusion is very real. Like, you have one set of foundational black Americans who, that's where Ann Coulter got her talking points from. And it's very valid. Then you have another set of foundational black Americans that are like, no, go to school so you get you a good job. And do what? Be integrated into a disastrous society where they're gonna treat you like shit and they ain't gonna give a fuck about your degree. And when that did happen, y'all, oh, she had a whole, I'm talking about ooh, I got a new attitude type of shit, because she started to see like, damn, I think this nigga is right. Oh, it was a lot of niggas that, like I told you, I remember one time, I remember a nigga told me, this is what I mean about the confusion. I remember a nigga told me like, oh man, you should go sell cars and all this, because he just assumed he was so much better than me. And then when he found out I owned the property, he started nigga-splaining. See, just because you got glasses on and you speak proper and you sit at a cubicle, don't think you better than the next nigga like me. And shout out to another FBA sister. I remember I was telling y'all a long time ago, I worked at this place, Tasha know, called Opportunity Village. I'm proud to say I worked at Opportunity Village. That was a cool ass job. Of course they didn't pay as much, but I liked the job. The job was straight. And I learned a lot from foundational black Americans, because I was like the youngest nigga there. Everybody else was like older. And they taught me a lot about being on code. I told y'all this before. It was two foundational black Americans that get along. One nigga was from LA, and I think another nigga was from Vegas or East Coast or whatever. You know how that get. And these two niggas didn't get along. But you never knew it because they stayed on code. And they taught me a lot. Well, one of the sisters, I'll never forget her name. Her name was Shannon. She was like a big cousin to me. Man, we was like fam bam. And I remember one time I was walking home from work. Look, I gotta stop joking. I was walking home from work. And the homegirl Shannon pulled up next to me. Was like, Warren, it's hot as a motherfucker out here. You could have asked me. I done gave you a ride home. I was like, I know. It's so hot. I just don't want to be a bothersome to nobody. She was like, well, get in the car, boy. It's hot out here. I said, no, I'm just fucking with you, Shannon. I live across the street. She's like, nigga, you get on my fucking nerves. And she laughed and drove off. Well, her family worked at this other corporate plantation that I went to. So when we all put the pieces together, like, oh, you used to work at Opportunity Village? And I'm like, yes. You know, and one of my homegirls was like, oh, my cousin Shannon used to work there. I was like, oh, that's the homegirl. Call her right now and tell her, ask her if she know Warren. So she calls her. She's like, hey, do you know a nigga named Warren? She was like, oh my God. Hell yeah, I know Warren. Girl, you funny as a motherfucker, right? So they got to talk. She was like, yeah, Warren right here. She was like, nigga, what's up? So we chop it up. We vibing. And she was like, that's my peoples right there. She was like, take care of Warren, man. He good people, for real. He gonna make y'all laugh, and he just good people. He really good-hearted, right? I didn't think it would go a long way. I just, so Shannon had family that worked at this car plantation. So this brother that told me to go park cars, and I didn't have no living, like I wasn't gonna make no money at this car plantation, all this other shit. One of the sisters, one of the family members of the homegirl Shannon checked the shit out of him. And was like, why you over here talking shit about Warren and thinking you better than everybody? Warren got woo, 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 woo. And Warren, woo, woo, woo. And then she was like, why you over here talking shit? And you probably still renting. She was going in on his ass in a very intellectual way. And then she said it. I remember we had a conversation. And she was like, Warren, I don't know what's wrong with us where we want to get around people and just talk bad like that. Like, why? There ain't no need to do that. And this is before I read. And I said, you know what, sometimes, we just be in competition with each other for no reason. And a lot of that is confusion. And look, I don't know how many spaces I've done with David where he like, Warren G. You need to understand, Warren G. The dominant society is the master of confusion. Like, nigga, they are at the helm of this shit. And now that David said that shit, I know Neely Fuller Jr. said it, but in my personal opinion, it resonated more when David would say it, because it just resonated more. And now the confusion is real, because you literally fuck what Donald Trump talking about, but you literally got a person whose the stage is handed to, which is Kamala Harris. You don't have a plan. During your debate, you're trying to hit points on fracking and shit that don't even make sense to the American people. Donald Trump brings up the economy and how fucked up it is. You didn't even talk about the economy. When we talk about immigrants, you talking about how you were on the task force that led the biggest prosecutorial. Like, we don't give a fuck about you prosecuting sex crimes. Like, yeah, we care about that, but right now we talking about the economy. That's like if a motherfucker be like, man, everything's so expensive, and then you be like, man, did you see that movie? Did you see Deadpool? Because I know that was expensive. You're gonna be like, I don't give a fuck about how expensive Deadpool was. I'm talking about how expensive it is for me to go to the grocery store. And that's confusing. And with that confusion, we're still not able to comprehend, like, hey, maybe both parties don't have the solvent to black people's problems, and maybe we should just step back and understand what the fuck is going on. What's the Bible saying? All I get an understanding. So I always found it quite odd that we don't want to get the understanding that's necessary. Y'all ain't look, and I'm mad. I'm not mad for people that's like, you know what, fuck that, I'm voting for Trump. I was talking to my sister about that. She was like, man, I'm gonna fuck around and vote for Trump. And I don't blame her. Okay, let me break this down for y'all. Y'all know I'm big on housing. You gonna know that I'm very, 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 very serious about housing, because I see what they do to us and to our people. And I'm not just looking for me. See, I'm not, look, no diss to Jay-Z and all them. I'm more of a Dame Dash. I don't want to be the only one to have it. I want everybody to have it. I'm talking about my black folk. I want every black person to have it. I want every black person to experience owning. I don't care if it's a condo, townhome, home. Don't let nobody make you feel different because you own a townhome. Fuck what they talking about. Nigga, you're on the board, you're in the Monopoly game. And this is what I don't like. And let me break this down. When Kamala and them was in office, Vice President Kamala and Joe Biden, do y'all know how expensive the interest rates were and how expensive they are now compared to when Trump was in office? I'm talking about fuck all this other shit. I don't give a fuck about what he catering to. I get it. He's supposed to cater to us because we're owed something. But let's just talk about the plain facts. Interest rates are at an all-time high. The last time the interest rates were this high was when Obama was in office. And then it dropped because the economy tanked. That's the only reason why the interest rates were so goddamn low. But when Kamala and them was in office, your boy Joe Biden, the interest rates, look at how high they are. These motherfuckers up here talking about, oh, we're going to cut the interest rate. 6.2. Do y'all know how much money 6.2 is off of $400,000? That's the average median home in Las Vegas, Nevada. We talking about new, used, repo, $400,000. Between $350,000 and $400,000. 6.2% of $400,000? That's like $3,500 to $4,000 a month. If you're getting a conventional loan, I know David would probably have a better of an idea with the real estate game, but from my knowledge, I know that's a fucking grip. David, you tell me if I'm wrong. 6.2. I'm talking to David, Shawnee, Erica, Tasha, all the people that's in tune with this. Y'all do the math and leave the comments. Y'all tell me what 6.2% is of fucking $400,000 because that's how much your fucking mortgage gonna be. Matter of fact, go buy you a car. You know what the interest rates are on a car? It's like 4.5. The interest rates used to be 3.2, 3.1, 3.5. We're just talking about things that black Americans need. If you live, I can't speak nowhere else, but if you live in Las Vegas, Nevada, you need a car. You need a good running car. And sometimes you're gonna get tired of having that good running car take a beating from Las Vegas's weather. And after a while, you might, see in Vegas, if you ain't got no Toyota, I'm gonna keep it a buck. If you ain't got no Toyota, you better get a brand new car. Because if you ain't got no Toyota, I'm talking about a Toyota Lexus, a Toyota Camry, a Toyota Tundra. If you ain't got no Toyota that can run forever, it's been one. Because Vegas' weather is way too harsh, which forces you to get a new car. Or a Honda Accord. I'm talking about an old Honda Accord. And if you get a new car, like let's just say you like, all right, man, Warren, fuck it. I'm fucked up out here. I saved a little bit of money. I'm gonna go get a new car. Let me tell y'all, that credit ain't gonna mean shit. All that credit's gonna do is get you a 4.7 interest rate, and then you're gonna still have to come up with fucking $10,000 because the average car is like fucking $30,000. So how the fuck is a foundational black American that's being underpaid and overworked at these corporate plantations can afford a decent house, a decent car off the salary that we're getting paid while we're competing with immigrants? Y'all tell me that. If that's not confusing, then what the fuck else is? And then they're pushing this narrative like, oh, we all won and it's gonna lift everybody. No, it ain't. Go to Las Vegas about it and see all these goddamn immigrants. I'm gonna tell you one thing. I remember when I went to Denver, I saw a couple, you see some homeless, but you saw a lot of white people out there. You didn't see a lot of Mexicans. I know in Idaho, they ain't playing none of that sucker shit. I can tell you that right now. The state capital, Boise, let me tell you something. When I was visiting Idaho, that shit had me rolling. Man, them white people was coming to me, man, how you doing, man? You like it out here? I remember when I was visiting 2 years ago, when I visited Idaho, oh my God, that shit was so funny. Every white person we met, they was like, even the lady on the plane was like, we're a very conservative state. I think you're gonna love it. You know what that means? Translation, we don't like Mexicans and we don't like immigrants. And you see them Trump signs every goddamn where. Every fucking where. And you like, man, that ain't cool. Shit. You better think again. You don't want them trying to push no jabby jabs. That's another thing. When you have these Democratic states, why you think Steve Sisolak in Nevada, y'all go look him up. Steve Sisolak in Nevada, he was a Clark County commissioner. He was a Democratic Clark County commissioner. And that's why he lost. He shut Vegas down for 90 days. You don't shut Vegas down for no 90 days. They got his ass the fuck up out of there and they put Sheriff Lombardo, a Republican, in that motherfucker. But it's so many goddamn immigrants. That's why I'm like, man, how do you compete? Like Dr. Claude Anderson said, compete with what? I feel like that's why we so confused. Now, let me tell you something. I'm going to break this down. There are more poor white people that are conservative in their thinking than y'all think. And while you black people are out there toting the line for Kamala Harris and all that, okay, let's just not forget, there are more wealthy white Republicans like Donald Trump than y'all think that run these corporate plantations you work at. So go ahead and put your little Democratic sticker on your car and go ahead, put a target on your back. And then when you are not employed or being fucked with at your corporate plantation, don't come back over here talking about, hey, big head. Nope, I don't want to hear none of that sucker shit. Stay out of it. How many times have I told you about Neely Fuller Jr. saying, if you see two white supremacists arguing, suspected white supremacists arguing, you don't choose a side. That's just two white supremacists, suspected white supremacists arguing who's the biggest plantation owner. And let me remind you, don't let these people have you fucking thinking that you fucking lazy and you gotta be working 10 times harder than everybody else. I wish a motherfucker would tell me that. I'll tell him, hey, there's a book called Never Caught, The Untold Story of Una Judge. And I quote, George Washington stated, I do not like hiring white people to do any type of labor for me because white people are fucking lazy. They complain and they want more money than everybody else and they lazy and they don't complete the job and they fuck the jobs up. That's why I like niggas. That's exactly what he said, because niggas do the job exceptionally well. They're quiet, they don't complain, and they get the work done. And they're not lazy. Now, why would George Washington say that? And then, on top of that, I'm going to leave everybody with this. Why is it nobody will repay us? The government won't repay us for what has been done to us in the United States of America, incorporated, right? But they don't have no problem giving everybody else money. But when you ask other racial groups, they give you every excuse of why we shouldn't get the money. And the majority of the people that are complaining about it are immigrants. They're not even from this country. And they feel like they have a say-so on what we can complain about. That's why they don't want Donald Trump in there. Those black people that want to vote for Kamala because they think she's black, let them go ahead and do that. Everybody can't go, and everybody hasn't read Dr. Claude Anderson's Powernomics. So just let them stay over there and just leave their asses over there. I'm talking about the people that really, really are cognizant of what's going on and how bad this immigration problem is. Let me tell you something. How the fuck are people that fled from their homeland gonna have any insight on what is owed to foundational black Americans when they left where they were supposed to build up? Because they came here, as Dr. Claude Anderson said, for unearned benefits. Now, let me break this down to you, and I'm done. Why is it we gotta compete with immigrants about unearned benefits and the dominant society when people like Martha Washington was the biggest plantation landowner in history? She owned 17,500 acres of land, and we don't have anything. How does that work? We're fighting a two-headed monster. We're fighting the dominant society and we're fighting immigrants who the dominant society allowed them to come over to this country. They get in the immigration problem tomorrow. They can close the borders and have shoot on sight. If we catch you over here, we're shooting you and we're putting you in a goddamn prison in Guantanamo Bay, and we're not letting you out. I guarantee you all these immigrants will be like, I ain't fucking going over there no more. Why wouldn't they come over here if they're getting food stamps and WIC and all this other shit that I don't even qualify for? But again, Martha Washington owned 17,500 acres of land. We got none of that. We were promised 40 acres and a mule. Don't you think that's a little disparaging? How's somebody gonna own 17,500 acres of land that's still in that family to this day? This brother, we did a podcast on Afro Elite show, I think, or somebody's show, and this brother was like, I live in Baltimore. He was like, the Baltimore Ravens owner bought more land from the Martha Washington estate. They bought like 16 acres for 60 million or some shit like that. These people are still benefiting off of slavery. And now I gotta fight an immigrant for a job? No, that's not right. So if you want to go over there and stay over there with Kamala as they keep ushering in immigrants and having the benign neglect, let me tell you, they want all these immigrants over here and they want to get to the vote so they don't no longer need black people. I'm done. Guilty, nigga. Peace. Oh man, masses of confusion.